and with my faithful staff here, my assistant pilots, co-pilots, technical people, and resident flight attendants. So welcome to another episode of Fearless Flight Live. We are back once again for to help people who have a fear of flying, those people who know somebody who has a fear of flying, and anybody that's just interested in the topic or likes to talk about airplanes in kind of an insider's view. So welcome. Hope you had a great week out there. We want to first remind you about our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather Facebook group. And if you haven't joined that, please do that. We're up over 900 at last total. We're going to have some kind of a gala celebration when we break 1,000. And we appreciate all of you joining, not only joining the group, but participating. And things are really going hot and heavy here. We have the Clear for Takeoff 201 class. We'll touch on that briefly. We're halfway through that, and you can still join. We've had several people join over the last week. And so you'll be welcome to do that. Tonight on the agenda, what we want to do is we want to more than ever, we want to encourage your participation and get your comments, because the whole reason we're here, frankly, is for you all. And so if you are watching now live or you're watching a replay, please feel free to go in and ask a question or leave a comment for us, and we'll get back to you on that. Tonight, we've been running a survey for the past 2 years, and we have a number of responses. And I thought one of the questions that we get more often than not is, am I the worst person you've ever worked with, Captain Ron? Everybody wants to know. They want to compete, and as to who's the worst. And despite my reassurances, nobody believes me. So we have some questions that I pulled off the survey that we're going to put into and put them in front of you tonight, and you can get some feedback on your own. We'll share the answers with you. As I mentioned, there's still time to register for 201. We'll put a link to do that in the chat there. And lastly, again, any questions and comments you have, we'll try to monitor the question board as we go on. Our trusty other Captain Eric up there he's getting highly technically competent in monitoring the facilities here. So anyway, all right. So you guys got anything to say tonight? I mean, rather than let me do all the talking, Eric, Diane.
Oh yeah, well, Friday's my birthday.
All right, cool.
Nothing to do with flying, but that's my only shot.
Yeah.
Statistics show the people that have the most birthdays live the longest.
No. And I am still younger than Ron. I'll only be 74.
Yeah, you'll never catch me. So anyway. And Dieter's the youngster in the group there.
With a cat. I have a question.
Being stalked by a predator right now. So anyway. All right, so let's put the first question up there. And
yes. So let me just, before we do that, I just put all the questions, not all the questions, a sample that we had prepared, and I just put them in chat.
Okay.
And so you're welcome to just type in chat any of your responses or answers. But we're just gonna go through. You might also guess at the responses, but we're just gonna highlight the answers from how many years has that been going, Ron? I mean, that's been significant. That research study has gone for several years, right?
Yeah, we're just over 2 years here. Yeah, and we're gonna publish the results. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get Cami involved in that. Cami Purper, if she's available.
Who, by the way, is probably enjoying her grandkids in Texas. Yep.
Cami's one of our graduates, and she's going to be a mentor on the Burbank flight when we go from Burbank to Sacramento as part of the 201 class. And she happens to have a doctorate in psychology and research, and she's been a great help to us. So, and she's going to do some more. So,
did you see what Wendy said? We are toast. They have 7 of them flying from Burbank to San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Their flight club. It's over.
They're putting
It's
it out of
over.
business.
Over.
Putting it out of business.
All right, Ron, do you want me to switch over and share the first?
The results?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first question is, who's more prevalent, men or women? And you can see there, and we want your comments there if you're surprised. This wasn't a surprise to me because I see pretty much firsthand every day who shows up. Two reasons that I speculate. One, women are more likely to verbalize and seek help for something like this. But there is a gender-based issue, and that is men. There's some research that shows that men are more likely to be able to compartmentalize and keep things in them. And if you're married to one of those men, you have no doubt about that because they never say their feelings. So that's a good thing when you're flying an airplane on takeoff and you lose an engine. You don't want a pilot that comes back and socializes and says, "How do you all feel about this?" You want somebody who just compartmentalizes it and does that. And to me, it was interesting as we began hiring more female pilots. I had some personality inventories that I would use in training, and what we found is female pilots had more of a personal style like a lot of the male pilots. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, so there it is. It's about 2 to 1 women over men that seek help, and that's it. The next one is
That's the age.
Yeah, age. Okay, and I wish we had this in a poll, but this is a webinar format, so we couldn't let you honestly take it without in public, and we get the results here. So, but this was something that, again, when I first started collecting data on this, was surprising to me. It shows that the majority of people are between 19 and 49. Almost 60% of the people who identify as having an issue with fear of flying report that it happens relatively early in their lives, or at least when they seek help, and then about 30% or so once they pass 50, and then under 10% for people older than that. So it seems to be something that afflicts people earlier in life, and some of the things that we know are when people leave college, sometimes they report that they and get out into the world, they report developing a fear of flying, and then also when people couple, both men and women, and have children, that seems to be another trigger for people. So anyway, okay. And
okay, so the next one is, when did you first notice your fear? Which is an interesting one.
Yeah. And a very small percent could not remember, or doesn't remember. And some of those are the ones that have been, maybe either didn't fly or have had it since they're, as long as they can remember. And then you can see a big hump there again with younger people in the 18 to 29. So that even falls more into my experience with people in as they leave home and start their lives. And then again, just under 30% as an adult, 30 and older. So it seems to be kind of a young person's issue for whatever result or whatever reason that is. Okay.
All right, and then this is really the one that's,
Oh, wow.
I think that's the one that's the most difficult to hold for me, because if I just can imagine what it's like to live with something so compromising for a decade of your life, I mean, that's just really
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and when all the stuff that we have, the average age before somebody seeks help is 10 years, and so you can see there's a lot of people, and that's why the average is what it is. People less than that. Not many people act on it earlier, and the ones that I have the greatest, I don't know if admiration is the right thing, but the people who do tackle it, because what we're looking at are people who actually participate and seek a solution. And that typically across the population, when you look at addiction, when you look at mental health problems, only about 10% of the people in our culture or in our society will seek help. So that means that there's a whole lot more people out there that never ever try to get over this or just give up. And it's really unfortunate when it comes to fear of flying, because fear of flying is one of the most successfully treated phobias that there are out there. You got to educate yourself. You got to learn how to distract and disrupt your thinking. And you got to talk to other people and get over the shame of thinking that you're the only one out there. So,
all right,
so congratulations, everybody watching. You're in the group. Yeah.
Well, and I want to acknowledge both Jim, 3 decades he wrote, and I know that Jim was at Air Hollywood with us back in 2017, I think.
Yeah, 2018.
2018, and then also Sue Hopkins, 5 decades. That's pretty crazy. So that, to me, the courage, and it's just awesome that it's never too late to make a new beginning, to create a new beginning.
No, and like you said, Dieter, I think that the fact that people wait 10 years on average before they seek help speaks to how much courage it takes to do that. So all of you out there need to pat yourself on the back for being in that group. It's really.
And I just want to quickly address Larry's comment. Larry says, my son wants to join the class. How does he go about joining? And Larry, if you can put in the chat, I think you mean the 201 class that's currently going on. If it's the 101, just let us know in the comments. He said that his wife went to Sky Harbor back in 2010, and he was her coach at the time. And then he also wants to know if we still have classes at Sky Harbor, and the answer is yes. Yeah. And I'm gonna answer that question for you, Ron. Do you still live in Indiana? And I'm gonna say no.
No, just my personality is stuck in Indiana. So anyway, but so I think what Dieter was alluding to, the 2 basic classes are there's the Clifford Takeoff 101 in-person class at Sky Harbor, and the next one, I misspoke last week. The next one, we're not going to have one on March 5th because I'm going to be flying with a bunch of people to Burbank and back that day. So the next one is going to be in April at Phoenix, and that's free. If you're talking about the Clifford Takeoff 201 online class, we're going to have our title slide coming up here in just a minute, and we'll put a link to that one. But you can put something in the chat if you know which one you're talking about. We'll make sure you get the information. Okay.
All right. Okay. So the next one, that's also pretty. Self-explanatory.
Yeah. When I was invited in 1987 to join a local psychologist here out of Scottsdale, because he was starting this program, which I ended up taking over from him. The first thing I did a 2-hour Q&A with a bunch of people in the class, and I thought they were just mildly nervous or got a few butterflies flying, stuff like that. And that's what changed my life and my perception of it, because I couldn't believe those people were deadly serious about how much it bothered them to get on an airplane, or even the thought of getting on an airplane. And that's held out through the years. People don't show up here because they're a little nervous about flying. They show up here because it drives them crazy in a couple of ways, which you probably already know, and you'll see coming up on the slide here. So,
Ron, is that the same year you got hired at American Air Western and Trans-Tempe Airlines?
Nope,
1987?
Almost. I've been there about 6 months.
6 whole months. Okay.
Yeah. And I had a friend of mine who was the employee assistance director, and so he hooked me up with the psychologist who was looking for a pilot to help him with that. And totally serendipitous, and it really, it inspired me, and I ended up getting a master's in counseling as a result of it. So, okay, so there you are. You're in good company if you feel like you're going to freak out all the time. All right. So, and this is another one I thought would be worth sharing tonight. How much have your symptoms changed over that? And I guess this would maybe support the fact why after 10 years, some people say enough is enough. Okay. So people generally, you can see, they don't get better on their own unless they have some kind of a, the sky opens up and the doves launch, and that's the thing that's really seems, obvious at face value. But if you're bothered by this issue, not so obvious. And that is, if you don't do anything different, you're probably going to have the same experience every time you try to fly or even think about it. So you can see almost 2/3 of the people here, their symptoms have gotten stronger in the last 5 years. And that's why I think ultimately people seek help, because they get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they just decide that it's not worth it. I was talking to a coaching student yesterday afternoon, and she was like, gosh, I mixed emotions sometimes, and she was questioning whether she really wanted to get over or not, but the thought of not being able to fly as she gets older and has friends and family that live far away from her, it's almost essential that you do that. People tell me, if you're going to go to New York on a vacation, you spend 3 days going out on the train, 3 days back, and it gives you just under a day to enjoy your family when you get there. So it really sucks to be afraid to fly. Okay.
I hate to be the trivia king, but what's that movie where the Bill Murray lives the same day over and over and over again? Groundhog Day?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I love that one.
That's the bomb. I forget how he gets out of it.
And that's a good
He's
way
finally
to
nice to everybody.
Oh,
Okay. This is a fun one. This is what thoughts go through your head when you're doing it. I'm looking at the survey.
Those are great. Those are great.
Yeah.
you should just add a box at the bottom that just says all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find that, because there are some others up there that aren't listed here. And of course, I'm not going to find it on the fly here. But anyway, yeah. So basically, you see the two that are out there, the three that are out there in the lead. We talk about, you gotta, when you decide that you're gonna try getting on an airplane, you need a couple of things. One, you need confidence that the airplane's gonna survive. And you can see why, because there still are a number of people that are not completely convinced that flying is safe. Okay. The second reason, moving down there to the turquoise one in the middle, is you got to be airworthy. You got to know that you have the confidence that you'll be able to manage your anxiety, and you won't end up in a ball of emotions, in a puddle at the end of the jetway there. And then the other one, that I'm going to die. I think what would be more correct for the one that says I'm going to die, it's I'm going to die, or I'm going to feel so miserable, I'd rather seek death over the way I'm going to feel. So that's it. And you can see, being embarrassed, won't be able to do it. And some of them, Eric, don't have all that much faith in us. They're worried that we won't be able to handle it. And then down there at the bottom is the plane's too big and heavy to get off the ground, which is, it kind of looks that way. Even when I go out there, I'm still kind of amazed when I see a big hunk of junk like that can get in the air and stay in the air. So,
but they saw their way through your trick question, because then you would, if the plane's going to crash and I'm going to die, didn't get any responses, then you'd say, well, then what's the point of worrying about the rest of it?
Right. That's true. That's true. And the old joke, I don't mind if it's a pilot's day to go. I just don't want to be with them when it happens. So,
right.
Yeah. All right. What that is it one? I think it was one more.
I think there's one more.
Yeah.
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was
All right.
the last one.
Cool. All right. So there's the link, and Dieter will put that in there. So if you have
It's
any
already
interest,
in the chat as well.
okay, in the chat. So if you have any interest, you can click on that. When you get to that page there, you can scroll down to the bottom. Dieter and I spoke about the class in detail 3 weeks ago, I think. And so there's the video of that edited down at the bottom of the page there. And basically you got a couple of options. You can join the class no matter where you live in the world and take it just for the sake of taking the 201 class. And then if you're going to be either in Phoenix on March 5th, Boston on March 12th, or in LA at the Burbank Airport on March 19th, you want to, proof's in the pudding, you can go fly with us. And the most important thing is when you get registered, get over and buy your tickets on Southwest just as quickly as you can, because they will continually jump up in price as we get closer to the dates there. The airlines know that if you're 1 day away from flying and you're looking at buying a ticket, they figure you pretty much got to go, and so they don't have much negotiation left with them. But prior to that time, the fares, I didn't look today, but the fares are not at the max yet, so it's well worth it.
Baltimore, the Boston-Baltimore flight seemed to go up more than the others, but
yeah, and there are fewer options out of that airport, because it's more of a destination rather than a hub for Southwest. So that's why Burbank and Phoenix is the best, because we have the most competition out of here. But anyway, we hope if you're thinking about it, we hope that you'll go over the edge. And even if we're not flying out of your city, this is a new thing that we're trying in the second quarter here. We're going to be flying out of other cities. I'm not sure, but Chicago looks like it's shaping up to be a place to go out of. Dallas looks like one, and I have some of our longstanding people down in Atlanta, so I'd like to do Atlanta down there sometime too. But we are going to try to move around the country, and it doesn't take as many people as I thought to make it at least break even for me to get out there. It cost me a couple $1,000 just to get to Boston there with the hotel and stuff. But when we offer the class for a larger group of people, it helps to spread the cost out, and it makes it more affordable for us to have the class out there. And we're really looking forward to it, and because it's what we do. So anyway, you guys got anything else tonight?
I got nothing.
No,
I just wanted to say that I put the links for both the 201 online class as well as the 101. And I also wanted to point that out, even the 101 class, the free classes, if you cannot make it to Phoenix, we now have an option. And it's usually the Sunday after the in-person class at the Phoenix airport. All the dates are, you find them on the links in the link there. So I've put that in as well, because even, if you've never really gone through a class, that is a great way to get started. I mean, it's really, really.
And we know you're out there because you've been waiting 10 years to do it. So it's a good point, Dieter. So we have the 101 in person, and the link that Dieter has put in there for that. If you click on that, but you don't live in Phoenix, it's also a portal for the 101 online, and you can register for that. So that's for the people that can't get the Phoenix for the free 101. It's also a free, but it's a webinar, and it typically follows the morning after I do the class in person at Phoenix there. And again, it's an introduction to let you know what it takes to overcome your fear of flying. And the only thing that the online version doesn't have is it doesn't have the airplane with it. So sorry about that. We just can't squeeze it through the wires yet, but we'll work on it. Well, virtual's coming along, so who knows?
Personal simulators.
There you
go. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, that's pretty much going to wind it up tonight. I hope this has been interesting for all of you, and maybe you feel a little bit less crazy or a little bit less hopeless as a result of seeing just who's gone out there before you, and myself particularly, but Dieter and Diane and Eric, who've been hanging around me for a little while now, they've all seen that people get over this. And it's not just where you can tolerate it either. If you keep doing it, you keep working at it, it's a process, it'll become more comfortable, and you can normalize it, just kind of like driving a car. We don't have a panic attack every time we get in our car, and you won't have a panic attack when you think about booking a flight in the future. So hang in there, stay with us, and come back next week.
Hey, Sarah McKinley had one question. I can probably answer it in 30 seconds. And she said, an American flight diverted last week due to an unruly passenger. And it's terrible trying to remember which flight and where it was. Trying to open the cockpit and the plane door, the descent was so quick that the passengers thought they were going down. Why wouldn't the pilots advise a sudden descent? So, Sarah, once they made the decision, they may have been near the airport they were diverting to. And we always say if there's a problem or we call them a non-normal situation, we have to fly first, then navigate, then communicate with air traffic control. So if they were at or near on top of the airport, the ATC may have given them a lower altitude, but told them to make it in a short amount of time because of other traffic conflicts. So they may have been hurrying down, and then they're reloading the flight management system because now they're not going wherever it was they were going. So they're doing a whole bunch of reprogramming to pull up the alternate airport they're going to use, the approach, the arrival, and the transition. And one guy's typing furiously and the other guy's flying, and then they're both checking it. And at the same time, they're communicating with company and the flight attendants, and they just might not have time while one guy is typing furiously with one finger. We're not as fast as young kids. And the other guy's flying and doing all that other stuff. And they probably would have liked to. And then there's the other possibility if they didn't want to get on the PA and say, yes, as you can tell, we have one unhappy passenger, and now we're diving to the earth and the police are going to drag him off and pound him to paste. They might not have wanted to make a PA or something generic like that to jack him up any more than he already was. That's just my best guess. But I will tell you, they're very busy on a quick decision for a divert like that. They were working really hard.
And prior to the 737, we had 3 people in the cockpit, and the airlines pushed for 2 people and automate part of the job of the third person. And so when they did that, most of the time you don't need a third person, but that's one of the times when you could use a third person, because that's what he used to do primarily. He would be coordinating with the back and coordinating with the company, finding out instructions. Because when something like that happens, like what Eric said, not only is it critical to make timely decisions there, but you got to coordinate with your own company and all that on where they want you to go. It's particularly depending on the time of day. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to want to go where you might land if it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because there might not be anybody to open the door and get you out of the airplane when you get to the gate there. So it gets complicated, and we don't know why specifically, but they had their hands full basically.
One thing that's part of our briefing before we start every flight, every trip, the flight attendants with the pilots, and that's always one of the very important things they say. If such and such happens, we will get back to you as soon as we can. We will be busy. And so flight attendants know we don't call the flight deck unless something's on fire or something else is going on, because those guys and gals are busy, and they tell us we will get back to you as soon as we can. And so if that's what they're telling us, that's why they're not getting to the passengers until further down the road.
Yeah, and that's another reason to actually listen to the instructions when the flight attendants go through it, because that's the first thing you're gonna regret if something happens. Like, geez, what did they say? And and it's a little bit past that. So seriously, it's a good time to pay attention, even though you've heard it 1,000 times. Listen for those things in there.
And I'm pretty sure that the flight attendants themselves would have given any information that they had to the passengers, right?
And
it's
usually,
not like nobody knew nothing,
right? And usually, what happens though, we don't communicate to the passengers until the the captain tells us what's going on.
What's going on,
in instances, usually the captain is the one to talk to the passengers. And he or she will give that announcement before we do anything. And then we'll ask a question with regard to of the captain. Do you want us to make any other kinds of announcements? And then we'll go ahead and do those kinds of things, make an extra sweep, secure the cabin sooner than we need to, usually, that sort of thing. But we're not usually the ones to give those kinds of pieces of information until the captain has talked to us, and then the captain talks to the passengers.
And I'm not sure, but I was reading, I think just yesterday or today, wasn't this the one where the guy was trying to make, or the person was trying to make a statement about COVID? and wearing masks. It was, if it's what I read, it was way over the bounds of normal, or of normal abnormal, you know. So anyway,
One of
yeah.
the
So anyway.
500% increase in unruly passengers over the last
Yeah.
year and a
Oh,
half.
it's
Thank God
amazing.
for stainless steel coffee pots sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to bring that slide in that Diane has, the flight attendant's weapon of choice in the event of an emergency there. So, and they're, and they,
Coffee
yeah.
pot.
Yeah, we may have to do a video, Diane, of you in your short stature showing just what a wallop you can make with that coffee pot there. So anyway, all right, enough of this levity. We will see you again next week. Thanks a lot, and thanks to you guys for helping me out here. Okay,
Bye,
next
guys.
week. Fearless
Bye.
Flight. Bye.
Yeah.